King Tut, Rat.
Hello everybody, this is King Tut here, and welcome to your 25th C++ tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll show you a better way to write class. So, I've I've told you again and again, this is not how I write class. So so far we write class on the same file as our main function, which I mean it's one way, but I'm going to show you another way. And the reason why I'm going to show you another way because this is so cumbersome, disorganized, and very hard to follow. So, for example, a phone book. You don't want to end up searching hours and hours on a phone book. So, we just use our smartphone and just look up the directory or Google search stuff instead of going through our phone book and just finding that list and pointing with our fingers and just have enough concentration to find that certain, let's say, uh, let's say a mechanic to fix our car. So I'm going to show you another way to write class. So a better way to write class, the syntax is going to be the same. There's still going to be class, whatever the class name is. They're going to be public and private. They're going to be constructor and destructor. Except all the class here is going to be put in the header file. All the definition of the constructor and destructor and all the function is going to be put into a source file. So source file is another word for saying .cpp file. So as we learn about header files, you could do anything. You could define functions. You could even put a class. So we're just gonna put class in the header file and name the header file the same name as the class. And when we go into CPP file, we're gonna call the same name as the same header file, except instead of .h, it's gonna be .cpp. So you need to include the header file of the class you're gonna be defining. So if you're gonna be defining the constructor, destructor, the different functions, you need to you need to include that header file, or else you're gonna get an error. It's C++ will tell you, the compiler will tell you, uh, we never heard of this before. Where do you get this? So that's pretty much a spiel on a better way to write classes. I'm gonna show you the example. All right, so where we left off, we wrote cars. We made polymorphism. So I'm going to separate all of these classes into into each their own separate header files and CPP files or source files. So to do that, you right click the SRC, go to new, and then you click class. And then it's going to ask you for the class name. And keep the constructor and destructor checked. The reason for this, oh, and also for virtual, we're going to put no. For virtual destructor. Usually it's on by default. I never usually use destructor. So that's just put no for destructor. There's no point in using virtual destructor. So let's declare a class name. So we're just gonna put car. It's gonna tell you a class already exists. To remedy that, click cancel, and you just take out. Actually, we're just gonna comment. So if you want to comment more than a block of code, you press the shift. I'll show you actually. So you press the forward slash and you press shift A for the beginning part, and then the ending part where you want to end this whole block of code in comments, you press Shift 8 and for another forward slash. So it's like blah blah blah, and then blah blah blah, and then you see Cevelop automatically generates a asterisk every time you say enter or press enter. So you don't need it, but it's usually what they do. So it's usually for more than one line. It's literally a comment for more than one line. I don't need to overcomplicate this. It's just what it does. So I commented the whole class, and let's just go back here and new class, and then you put it in car. It also tells you the class already exists. So click cancel. All these classes are inheriting cars, so that's the reason why. So let's just end our comments here. So Shift 8 and forward slash, and we're just gonna take out all of this. So hopefully this works. And it already exists. Alright. I mean, let's browse it. Oh wait, we haven't saved yet. So we need to save it first, then we put in the class. There you go. Alright, and you need to put no for destructor. For virtual destructor, you don't need virtual destructor. We're not going to use it. So click finish. Alright, so don't worry about the indef and define and end if. It's for security reasons, like I mentioned in the header tutorial. So let's put in private. Oh, sorry, I sneezed. Alright, so let's do int get speed. Actually, let's do get max speed. So I'm gonna do this as an example. Let's do it. Actually, not get max speed. Max speed. Get no color and brand. Actually, make there. Make and model. There you go. Let's. Oh wait, hold on. All of these are string. And you see here, there's an error in the string because it uses the standard library. So it should work. Alright. Create type string. No, that's not that helpful. It should. Okay, so you need to include IOStream so you could actually declare a string. That's all you need to do. So, like I mentioned, in every header file, it's going to be clean slate. It's going to be its own kind of file. It has no association with the main source. So, it's not going to make use of the header file that comes from the main source because it has no connection with it. Alright, so let's highlight all of this. And like I mentioned you in the tutorial, in the encapsulation tutorial. Let's implement. Let's go to source. Generate getters and setters. Do that, and then you check on everything, or you could press select all. So deselect, select all. All right. So definitions separate from declaration. So you want to check that because if you want to declare all the getters and setters, you want the definition to be in the source file, because otherwise, what's the point of teaching you a better way to write classes? And what's the point of organizing your class? All right, so let's click OK. So you see here, you have string, const, get color, and then void set color, string, const, get make, and then so on and so forth with the string. And for int, you have get max speed, void set max speed. And then when you go into car.cpp, it actually makes the definition. All right, so let's save it here. And once you save the header file, all the error is going to go away. Okay, so yeah, that's that. So let's go to our main file, and we want to implement the class that we created in card.h and define it in card.cpp. How do we do that? So you need to include it, and without including the header file, like I mentioned, you're not going to make use of the functions or anything inside that the header file contains. So let's put car.h. And if you're having trouble, let's take that out. If you're having trouble remembering the names, you press space, and then you try to put first few characters, and then once you find that name that you're looking for, you go up and down, try to highlight that name that you're looking for, then press enter. So I've been really repetitive about it, but it's really important. It's really crucial when you're implementing header files, because you're gonna have more than one classes. You're gonna have a bunch of classes. Believe me, when I was doing game development, the last time I did it, I have a lot of classes, and it was hell. So having an autocomplete is really useful. All right, so once we declare car.h, let's take out this comment because that's irrelevant. We put in car, and then let's put in C new car. All right, and then we put in C and the arrow, and then let's just do set color, and I just make my car orange, and then let's just C out and get color. And then let's run our program to see if all this stuff, if we actually wrote the correct syntax and it run like it's supposed to be, which it did. It actually says orange. I set the color to be orange, and I output the color that I've declared inside the inside the car class. So let's do Ferrari, Ford, and Chevy. So there's an easier way to do this. I'm actually going to show you a cool way to do it. So let's do new and class, and then let's put in Ferrari, and I'm gonna stockpile a bunch of classes. Ferrari, Ford, and then Chevy. All right. So I have created 3 classes, which contains the header file and the source file. And instead of running all those stuff that I put in the car class, let's just inherit it. So public car, and you get an error. You need to include the car class. And let's just copy all of that and just paste it in Ferrari. And let's paste it in Ford. And also copy all the include file and just paste in the rest of it. All right. So we actually inherit car, and we included the car class, the car header file into it. So what are we gonna do? What now? Instead of just putting in, instead of just going to the main source file and have it, let's say just put in the set the make or set the color. It's custom color. We could just have each class set its own like variables. I'll show you what I mean. I know I'm confusing you guys. So all right. So let's set, and you might notice you're having trouble. So all right. So I think we need to save all of it for this to work, and then set color. I just make it red. So I'm starting out with Ferrari because it's nearby. It's next to car class. So remember, when if you have an error or something, it's either 2 things. So either your syntax is wrong, you haven't included the right header file or the right library, or you haven't saved your file. So most importantly, you need to save your file every time you do things, so that Cevelop doesn't think that, oh, what you've done is an error. So set color. So I'm making it red. Set make Ferrari, of course. And let's just set model. And my model here is going to be Enzo, because that's the only model Ferrari I know. I don't really remember any other Ferrari models. Let me know in the comments below if you know any other models for Ferrari. Alright, so that's that. I haven't really set max speed because I don't think it's really necessary. you know, if just out of curiosity, set max speed. I guess it's a sports car, so I guess 200, I guess. So let's just copy all of this. Let's paste it into Ford. So this is what I mean. So each class, instead of going to the main source and declaring another car and setting it to new Ford, new Ferrari, and having it set its own color, custom color, we want to have um, have its own, have each class have its own color, have its own make, have its own model. You could actually do that. So set color, let's just make it blue. Let's make Ford the make, and then let's make it edge because I'm an SUV guy. And max speed is 140. All right, so let's copy all of that, and let's do Chevy.cpp. Let's put over here, and I tend to see Chevy, so every time I see Chevy, I just see gray. So let's just put gray, and let's make Chevy the make because it's class Chevy. And then since I'm an SUV guy, Equinox, Chevy Equinox, and its max speed is 140 because most of the cars, if not all of them, has 140, except possibly sports car. All right, so what now? We already, let's save all of it. We already set the color, set make, set model, set max speed. What now? All right, so let's experiment this for a little bit. Let's put in virtual void print car, and then let's do source. And instead of like instead of going into the .cpp and then hand typing it yourself, there's a better way. So let's save it first, and let's go to source, and then you implement method. So for some odd reason, since this is modeled off of Eclipse is mainly a Java IDE, and in Java you don't call them functions, you call them methods. So this is why it's called implement method. So let's press OK, then car.cpp. There you go. You just have to find a void car. You have to find that same functions that you already put it in. So let's go over here. Let's see out. Let's do make, then actually get make, and then end that line, see out, model, get model. And as you see here, I do control space and it just auto completes it for me. Model, color, that's not what I want. press get color. So that didn't autocomplete for me. So because I just put get and it's making the software, it keeps the software guessing which get functions you want to implement. So see out max speed. So the max speed that the car can go. So get max speed. And then it's just throw in MPH. And let's just save all. And then when we go into our main folder, our main file, instead of putting new car, which is oddly, somehow it didn't, Cevelop didn't really catch it, which is really bad. You need to put in the parentheses. I mean, this is acceptable if you don't have any parameters, but if you do have parameters inside your constructor, you need to put in parentheses. So let's do car Ferrari. Let's do a new Ferrari. And then I just put in parentheses. And you get an error. The reason for this here is you need to include all the classes. That's where the fun part is. .h. Let's do include Ford.h, include Chevy.h. You might notice here I didn't put in the right didn't capitalize it, because when you're putting in header files, they're case sensitive. So you need to put in the correct header file with all the correct capitalization and everything, or else you're gonna get an error. So let's save it. Hopefully nothing. Oh, and you need to capitalize Ferrari because it's, like I said, it's case sensitive. So change everything to its own respective car variable name. Actually, instead of doing this, and instead of setting color, print car. So what I did here is I declared a virtual void print car right here, and I defined it here. And then what a virtual void would do, it would actually see that. Glad I caught that. You need to put in a virtual void car : print car. So if you just see void and you realize you put in virtual void, you need to put in virtual void, or else it's not gonna work. So every class that inherits this class, if they haven't declared and overwrite the definition of a virtual function, the base class is gonna make make use of its own virtual function, as long as you don't make it pure or abstract. So let's run this program. And somehow got an error. Okay, so I guess that's weird. Alright, so let's run it again. Alright, so you see here, Ferrari doesn't have its own print function. And we haven't really defined that print function inside of Ferrari. So what does the base class do? If nothing is overwritten, it just uses its own definition of the function definition of the base class. So it basically used polymorphism. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you haven't watched Polymorphism, go watch it now. So you see here, you printed out the things that we set Ferrari in. So the make, we set make to the name Ferrari. We set the model to be Enzo. We set the color to be red. And we set the max speed to be 200 miles per hour. Alright, so let's do Ford and Chevy. Alright, and let's just print all of these out. Alright, so let's print out all these. I think it's gonna look messy. And yes, it does look messy. So to remedy that, alright, so that's alright, so that looks way cleaner. So we see in the top here we have the information about Ferrari. And the next here we saw the information that we set for Ford. So in our main file, so what I did here is split the file. You could actually do it by taking the tab here and just split it that way, and it shows you different lines for you to snap your window. So alright, so it shows all the information that I set in the setters function. So for the make, I set the make to be Ford, I set the model to be Edge, I set the color to be blue, and I set the max speed to be 140 miles per hour. Same thing with the Chevy. So hopefully this tutorial helps you. I know it's a lot, and once you practice this, you'll get the hang of it. But I could guarantee you this style is more organized, way better than just putting a bunch of classes into one source file, especially the main source file. So there's one more tutorial, or a couple more, and in the next tutorial I'll be showing you guys vectors. Thank you so much for watching. If you really like my video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're on YouTube, BitChute, or BitTube, please subscribe to my channel. If you're on Vlare, please follow my channel. If you're on Library, please follow my channel and download my video. And I hope to see you in the next tutorial. Bye!